Good morning, yogis. Happy Sunday. Hope everyone's well. Thank you for wiggling your fingers to let me know that you can hear me. Hope the weekend's going great. It's beautiful. Fill it up with good stuff. And as always, this is your Sunday morning class. So add what you want. Elizabeth, stay the way you were. Excuse me. Or I thought I muted that. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that unmuted. We're going to start on our backs and add a little bit of elevation if you have the props to do so. So if you want to take a couple blocks, if you love how you are right now, if you're just on your back and you're like, this feels great, great. If you want to elevate your legs, do so. If you want to prop up your feet, if you want to get your head above your heart, whatever feels good to you. But we're just going to kind of take our time here for a few minutes and settle in just like this. Wonderful. Fantastic. And as you settle in, you made some deliberate choice here, whether it was something underneath the knees or lifting the head or whatever it worked out to be. Just kind of bring your attention into that space and notice if there's a difference there than with the rest of the body. Okay. So for me, sometimes laying straight on my back with my legs straight is a little much. I like to have a bit of a bend in my knees. So I would bring my attention into that space and just kind of check in there. If you have your feet propped up, do the same. If you happen to be wiggling your feet off the end of a couple blocks, I see someone doing that. That's great. And with your head above your heart, you have that sort of classical heart opening shape. Just kind of feel that opening across your chest. And feel the space in the room that you're creating here as you begin to bring a little bit more attention into your breath, not only into that space, but into the rest of your body as well. And taking a long, full, deep inhale through your nose. And open mouth, exhale and sigh it out. A few more times just like that. Your inhale to fill up, to take a little bit more room up. And your exhale to sigh out. And then just continuing this pace, this rhythm of breath, dragging that cool inhale across the nose. And feeling the warmth pass out of your nose or the mouth. And whether your eyes are open or softly closed, just feel that lack of effort in your gaze. And just feeling gravity kind of keep you in place here. Beautiful. So we'll keep the rest of the body as is, but just begin to drop your chin from side to side, dropping your chin from one shoulder to the other. And whether the back of your head is resting on the floor, or a yoga mat, or a block, or bolster, kind of feel not only the drop of the chin and the opposite side, the opposite shoulder and neck begin to open, but feel that space, that point of contact with the back of your head. Beautiful. And your full deep inhales and your exhales. Nice, guys. And then you'll bring your gaze back to center, wherever it was. Take your arms wherever they happen to be. I'm sure they're attached to your shoulders, straight up towards the ceiling. And then cross one arm on top of the other, just giving yourself a hug. And a few deep breaths into this little embrace here. Nice, guys. And then we'll straighten the arms and change the cross. Bring the other one on top, and the other one underneath with your elbows stacking. Dropping your shoulders away from your ears. Just a few rounds of breath here. Beautiful. And then take your arms up towards the sky. Now cross that first arm across your body. So we're switching again, but you're going to hook it into your opposite elbow. So you're just going to give your a little stretch here. So I did my left arm first. Now my left arm is coming across. And if I look up into, I see the palm of my right hand. So just getting a little bit more of a stretch here. It's the variation you would take possibly if you can't get into Garudasana, but just a gentle shoulder stretch here. Nice. And then arms out to the side. So release that and sweep the other arm. For me, it would be my right arm across, straight across the body. And notice that the shoulder wants to kind of sneak up towards your ear. Drop it down without forcing it. And gazing into the palm of your hand or not. One more cycle of breath here. And then letting that breath go. From here, I'll take the arms straight out to the side. Sweep them up towards the ceiling. Interlace your fingers, flip your palms to the ceiling. Now you'd be looking at the back of your knuckles. And then take those hands overhead behind you, as effortful or effortless as you'd like to. And just begin to press through the wrists and get a little bit of yummy stretch here. Nice, guys. Take one more inhale. And then on the exhale, just release your arms back alongside your body in a T shape, falling straight out to the sides. And just feel that openness through your chest and through your shoulders, through your wrists and your forearms here. With a little bit of effort, we've kind of created a bit more space. Found some of that pliability that's nice to keep in the muscles, right? Beautiful. Take one more full deep inhale. And one more exhale. And then from here, guys, we're going to come off of whatever prop you set up you have. If you happen to have something, just move it all off to the side and make your way back onto your backs. Wonderful. Take a long, full, deep inhale. Once again, sweep your arms overhead behind you and straighten your legs out. Get nice and long from tip to tip. And on the exhale, hug your knees in toward your chest. Take your interlaced fingers onto your shins or the backs of the thighs or whatever works for you and rock back and forth from here. You can cross one ankle on top of the other. Whatever feels good to you here. And take it as far out to the side to get into that outer hip space. If you can kind of maintain that balance, there's a little bit of core there. And then if you cross one ankle on top of the other, change the cross at the ankles. Beautiful. And then come back to center, and if you would, place one hand on each knee and draw some circles on the ceiling. So turn the muscles in your legs off. Feel your heels drifting towards the backs of your thighs. And just finding the space and some room here as you open up to the middle third of the body. And then change directions with those circles if you can kind of figure out how to do that. Just like pause. Can you do that? Nice. Wonderful. And then we'll land the feet on the floor with the knees bent, heel toe your feet nice and wide apart, and some windshield wipers here, back and forth from side to side. And then what I'd like you to do is you can notice if you're sort of consciously keeping your pelvis neutral or not thinking about the tilt of your pelvis as you drop back and forth. And then notice what happens if you kind of play with the tilt of the pelvis back and forth. So maybe you're tilting it forward as you drop your knees, coming through center and tilting it back towards you, and then doing the same on the other side. And it gets a little bit more complex or opens up some more areas. And then you can decide, well, I don't like that. Who needs that, right? So you figure out what works for you this morning. Nice, guys. And then we'll bring those knees back to center. Heel toe your feet towards one another, and then let the knees fall nice and wide, coming to Baddha Konasana. Soles of the feet touch. And from here, your arms can stay as they are. You can cactus your arms if you'd like to. You can also take your arms overhead behind you and grab opposite elbows if you'd prefer. And just letting your thigh bones be nice and heavy here. As you drop down in towards the floor and begin to get that outer or that inner thigh stretch. And feel the length of your side body, getting space from your hips to your ribs. And then we're just going to cross one shin in front of the other. Crisscross applesauce on our backs. Supta Sukhasana here. And full inhales and full exhale. So again, just letting the position, the breath, the gravity, and the weight of the body do the work here to open up that hip flexor space. And then what I'd like you to do is notice you've got one shin in front of the other. So I've got my right shin in front, and maybe you have your left. We're going to keep the left where it is. Just hug your right knee in towards your right armpit. So keep that left shin still the way it was, or that back shin the way it was, and just hug the front shin, the knee, in. You should feel pretty deep opening here on the left side. Some ankle rolls are always welcome. Nice. One more cycle of breath here. Letting that left thigh be heavy. And then we'll release to come back into our crisscross applesauce and then into Baddha Konasana. Soles of the feet touch. Wonderful. From here, guys, let's change the cross of the shins. Bring the other one in front, the other one behind. Staying here for a minute or so. And then if you had your arms overhead behind you, change the cross of your forearms. If you want to come into a diamond shape, if you want your arms in a T shape, whatever you want to do here. But just be sure that whatever you're doing, you've got support of the floor underneath your joints. The shoulders, elbows, and wrists should be off on the floor. They shouldn't be floating in space. Nice. One more deep inhale. And then we'll keep the right shin, or the back shin, I should say the back shin as is. And we'll hug the front shin, that knee, in towards the armpit. And again, some ankle rolls here. Should feel pretty good. And full inhales and full exhales. Nice. And then release, come back into Supta Sukhasana, and then Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet touch. From here, hands to the outsides of your thighs, close your legs like you're closing a book, knees in towards the chest, and then stack one thigh on top of the other so that there's no space in, excuse me, between the thighs and your knees are stacked. And then hug the knees in towards your chest. So whatever leg is on top, tilt slightly towards the opposite hip to that side. And it'll create a little bit more space, a little bit more room for you to get into here. Nice. And then coming back to center, change the cross of the legs, other one on top, other one behind. Clasp where you can. Shift over towards the opposite hip. And with each exhale, hugging in a little bit closer. Nice, guys. Take one more cycle of breath here. And then release whatever you're clasping, land the feet on the floor, uncross the legs. From here, with your knees bent, pick up your hips, shift them over to the right. Straighten both legs out in front of you to the upper left corner of your yoga mat. We're gonna make that big crescent moon shape here. I'd say 74%-ish of this comes from the setup of my feet being where they need to be at the upper left corner of my mat, my hip being where it needs to be on the right, in the middle of my mat, on the right side edge of my mat. And then arms overhead behind you, left hand grabs your right wrist or forearm. So cross your right ankle on top of your left ankle on top of your right to pin that side down. And then make sure you're not spilling over onto the side. And think of breathing your right side to the right. And take one more cycle of breath here. And then release whatever you're clasping. Uncross the ankle. And bend the knees, and let's take it to the other side. So first start with kind of pinning that hip down, and then taking your legs to the upper right corner of your mat. Right ankle on top of left, arms overhead behind you. Left hand grabs, right hand grabs left foot. Beautiful. Take one more full deep inhale here. And one more exhale. Just kind of pinning that side down. Let it be heavy. Breathe the left side to the left. Nice. Beautiful. And then release whatever you're clasping. Uncross your ankles. Bend both knees. Pick up your hips and get them into the middle of your yoga mat. Let's go ahead and grab a bolster if you've got one, flat one. You can also take a rolled up blanket or something, but maybe something just to give a little bit of space in between the legs and something to kind of squeeze into. But if you don't have it, you don't have it. What are you going to do, right? Arms out to the side in a T shape, palms facing down. If you don't have props at this point, over a year into this, you've really committed to not having props, right? So let's just take it from side to side. So on the inhale, take that L shape, maybe to whatever side you took it. It's too late for me to tell you come back. And then your exhale brings you back to center, and then taking it to the other side. And then just finding your rhythm here. And as you go from side to side, let your attention kind of be like a little flashlight you're shining on different parts of your body. So maybe it's down at the hips and you're just kind of feeling that rocking back and forth from side to side in that low back space. And then maybe it's towards the opposite pectoral muscle, that opposite side of your chest. So as you drop your knees to the right, just kind of notice what's happening in that left side. And similarly, left and right. Obliques, your side abdominals, they're working, of course. It all should be nice and yummy. Beautiful. And then the next time you're back to center, wiggle your hips to the right, drop your knees to the left. Take the knees out towards 3 o'clock, and then bring that left hand to the top of your right thigh. Kind of hold it down and flip your right palm to face up. Maybe cactus that arm or encourage it to reach more towards 11 o'clock or whatever works for you. And then we're going to straighten the right leg out towards 3 o'clock, straight out to the side. Don't let that right hip sneak too close towards you. You're just breathing into the space. Your inhales and your exhales. Find your breath to open up a little bit more room. Maybe some ankle rolls here, feel pretty good. Whenever I say ankle rolls, I always think of like the worst Italian restaurant in the world. Sir, would you like some more ankle rolls with your lasagna? No, I'm good, thank you. Take one more cycle of breath here. Nice. And then we're going to rebend that knee. Keep your knees stacked for a moment, and then we're going to unscissor the legs. So the right leg's going to come back as if you're starting to run. That right knee is now pointing towards 6 o'clock. So your left knee still is out to the side. Right knee is pointing more towards the bottom of your yoga mat. Some of you might be able with your right hand to reach down for the top of the right foot or the shin. If that ends up just getting you in all sorts of trouble, then of course don't do it. But you might feel a yummy stretch deeper in your hip flexor. And that left hand can stay where it was, or you can bring it to the belly and start to breathe into it. Keep that right foot active, toes drawing back towards you. That's going to protect the ankle. It's going to protect the knee. One more inhale here. And one more exhale. And then we'll close the legs, bringing them stacked once again towards 3 o'clock. Squeeze into your bolster, bring your knees to center, get your hips in the middle of the mat. And then let's take it a few times from side to side and kind of just let all that go. Palms face down, so go back to how you prepped before. And then we'll wiggle hips left, drop knees right. Crown of the head and tailbone, 12 and 6 o'clock respectively. Right hand to the outside of the left thigh. Get all that goodness, and then if it feels good, straighten the left leg out to the side, and it will feel good. And just breathing into that space. And deep inhales and deep exhales. Hand can stay where it is or walk its way down towards the ankle. Be sure you're rolling that top hip away. Nice, guys. And then let's go ahead and rebend that left leg. Keep the right leg as is, and then unscissor your legs so that that left knee now is pointing more towards 6 or 7 o'clock. Opening up through that left hip flexor more. Left arm can drape out to the side or up towards 2 o'clock. Right hand can rest on the belly. You find what works for you. And if you did so on the other side, you'll take that left hand, reaching down for the left shin. Keep breathing into the space, a few more rounds of breath. One more deep inhale here. And one more exhale. Release whatever you're clasping. And then from here, let's go ahead. If you had a bolster in between the legs, remove it. Get your hips in the middle of the mat. A few windshield wipers here to just let all of that go. Okay. So we're going to take some dynamic, for lack of a better word, twists from side to side. And we're going to move them with breath. Okay. We're going to take them in sort of gradual moving into deeper depth. So to begin with, straighten your left leg away from you, hug your right knee in toward your right armpit. And take a deep inhale here. And then on the exhale, let's come into that twist, bringing the right knee across your body and holding it here for a few rounds of breath. Keep that right foot landed somewhere. Maybe it's on the inside of your left thigh. Find that breath moving around your spine. Nice. One more round of breath here. And then on your next exhale, we're going to come back onto our backs. Straighten your right leg away from you. Hug your left knee in towards your left armpit. Give it a good hug so you can breathe your ribs into your thighs. Full inhale here. Right hand's going to sweep that left knee across your body. And because we're going to stay here for the few rounds of breath to begin with, you may want to bump those hips slightly to the left. But then we're going to move these with breath, and I think you'll be fine keeping your hips as they are as we move from side to side. One more inhale here, and one more exhale. Come back to center. Right knee hugs in. Exhale, sweep the knee across your body. Back through center and take it to the other side. So the left hand will sweep, the right hand sweeps the left knee. Back through center. Switch it out. Back through center. Extend the bent leg. Bend the straight leg. Just following your breath. If you're with me, you're now straightening the left leg, bending the right knee, and sweeping it across your body. And we'll do one more round. And then coming back to center once you've evened it out. And then from here, bend both knees. We're going to kind of step it up. Now, this is more than you want this morning. You'll go back to what we were just doing with the supine. We're going to cross the right leg on top of the left. Take your arms to the side in a T shape. Inhale here, exhale, drop your knees over to the left. And then come back to center, change the cross of your legs, and drop them to the other side. So with your arms, and as you continue just moving from side to side, changing the cross of the legs, with your arms to the side in a T shape and your palms facing down, you have a little bit of sort of your brakes to kind of press into the floor if you'd like to. Maybe your feet touch, maybe they don't, or maybe a foot touches to give you a little bit of that support. But you can also do this if it feels okay to you, and only you know that, with your legs sort of floating or your feet floating in space. And we'll take one more round. And once you've evened it out, come back to center. And then from here, with your knees bent, excuse me, and soles of the feet on the floor, go ahead and grab a bolster or a blanket or something to place underneath your hips to give you some elevation. Okay. So a little bit of elevation, a little bit of just love and lift, right? Inhale, press into your feet, lift your hips off of the ground. Exhale, lower them back down where they came. Inhale, bring your knees in towards your chest. Exhale, straighten your legs up towards the sky. Let's stay here for a few rounds of breath just to kind of get used to this thigh stretch we haven't had, or hamstring stretch here. If you want to bring your hands to the backs of your thighs or anything that feels good to you, feel free to. Otherwise, just kick your heels towards the ceiling and draw your toes back. As you push your feet to the ceiling, push your hips into the bolster underneath you, right? And you'll feel that difference there. Nice. Bend the knees on an inhale, land your feet on the floor. Exhale, lift your hips to the ceiling. Lower the hips, knees in towards your chest. Straighten the legs towards the sky. So we're just going to move from these spaces here with your breath. The knees will bend, the feet land, the hips lift towards the ceiling. And then lowering the hips, knees come in, straighten them up towards the sky. So take some rounds of this, and if you'd like to, feel free to remove the bolster out from underneath your hips. Some of you will remember, whether you had one or your parents did, in the 70s, they placed these sort of accelerator limiters in the cars during the gas crunch, right? You couldn't push the pedal down anymore, right, to save gas. So you're kind of removing that here and flooring it, right? But it's a lot, not a lot, but it's more work on both sides and more range of motion with your bridge lifts and the ability to work a bit more, straighten the legs towards the sky. Nice. One more round just like that. And then we'll land the feet on the floor. If you had a bolster still underneath you, go ahead and remove it. Windshield wiper here to let everything go. Nice, guys. All right, so we're going to meet in a tabletop position, hands and knees. So you can roll to one side to get there, or rock your way up and go right into some yummy hip circles. So we've been on our backs for a good 20 minutes or so. So kind of feel all this space and movement as you incorporate some cows and cats. Sit bones towards your heels. Shoulders out past your wrists, all of those good things. Nice. And let's get a child's pose going here. Knees as wide as you want to be. Big toes touch. Back and down. Drop down in between your thighs. Anything that feels good with your arms. Full inhales and full exhales. Nice, guys. So rise back up into your onto your knees. You're going to keep your knees wide, so not quite coming back into tabletop. Slide your left foot back and behind you to get that calf stretch. And be on the toes of your right foot if you'd like to. You can always have the top of the foot. Pull your heart through, and on your exhale, round in with the option of hugging your right thigh in towards your chest. And then lower the knee, pull the heart through. Exhale and round. One more time. Inhale, heart pull through. Drive through that left heel and round. Nice. Then lower the right knee and bring the left foot to the outside of your left hand. And sink your hips down and forward. Feel free to keep that right knee grounded or lift the back knee off the floor if you'd like to. Send your heart forward, keep the spine long even if you're dropping your head. Nice. Now, if you've got your back knee lifted, go ahead and lower the back knee to the floor and untuck your right toes, okay? Plant your hands, and then you're gonna step back into child's pose. What? All the way back down into your child's pose. And then coming back up into our hands and knees with our knees still kind of wide. Slide your right leg back. Drive through the heel, get that yummy calf stretch here. Planting your hands underneath your shoulders on an inhale, pull your heart through, find that cow. Exhale, round, the option of hugging the left thigh in for the cat. Your inhale and your exhale. Your inhale and your exhale. And then lower that left knee, and from here, we're going to step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. Sink your hips down and forward, find the lizard on this side. Whatever works for you. Toes can tuck, untuck. You can get up on fists, whatever feels right. Nice. And then if that back knee is lifted, let's go ahead and lower the left knee, untuck the left toes, and step back into your child's pose once again. This time from your child's pose, come forward. Be sure your knees stay kind of wide in that child's pose width. And then walk your hands slightly out in front of you, more towards the front of your yoga mat. You're going to bring yourself forward, stack your shoulders on top of your wrist, kind of like a Bekasana frog prep. And as I drop my hips down, I still have my knees wide. I'm feeling this opening through my hips, and I hope you are as well. One more cycle of breath here, and then bring yourself back and down. Right hand's gonna stay where it is. Weave your left arm underneath you. So coming into our shoulder opener with a little bit more depth. Widen your shoulder blades off of your back. And breathe into that left side. Nice. And then we'll retract that left arm out. Once again, come forward, knees wide apart, big toes still touching. Stack your shoulders on top of your wrists and let your hips just be heavy. And then come back and down. Weave your right arm underneath you, palm facing up, right underneath that left armpit. And then bring that right arm back out. From here, come back up to your tabletop position, hands and knees. So send your left leg, slide the foot back and behind you once again. And then float the left leg parallel to the floor. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, left foot again comes to the outside of the left hand. Take a deep breath here. Inhale, tuck your back toes under, lift the knee off the floor, even if you didn't do so before. If you'd like to, you don't have to. Finish each breath so you feel your abdominals engaged. And then we're going to lower that right knee to the floor. Now step your left foot to the back of your mat and take the left arm up towards the sky. The left foot turns out into our warrior two. It's our little modified bashi here. Top arm can reach up and over if that feels good. Any modifications you want to take here, including hugging your right thigh in toward your chest or whatever. One more round of breath. Exhale, left hand to the floor. And then step the left foot up again to the outside of your hand, finding your lizard. And then we're just going to move between these two spaces, okay? So drop the right knee down, left foot back. It's an inhale maybe that takes the left arm up. Exhale, left hand to the floor, square your hips and ribs. Step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Maybe it's one dynamic move to lift the knee off the floor. And then lower the knee and again, step back. So take a few more rounds of those, combining as much of the effort into a half breath as you'd like to, or breaking it down a little bit at a time. Nice. And then the next time that you take that left leg back in space, let's come back to hands and knees and give a little bit of love to the right hand here, so to speak, by flipping the palm to face up with our fingertips pointing back towards us. You get a little bit of counter pose here. Wiggle it out. Nice. And then flip the palm to face down. From here, slide your right leg back in space once again. Plant the ball of the foot, get that calf stretch. And then float that right leg parallel to the floor. Hug your front ribs in. Now let's bring that right foot to the outside of the right hand. Pop up off of that back knee. Again, that's optional, but if you'd like to, then now would be the time. And then we're going to lower the left knee and step the right foot back, turning the toes out. The right arm can reach up and over. Here for a few rounds of breath, and again, any variations you want to take, feel free to, otherwise just mellow it out. If you're taking the top arm up and over, say, why am I doing this? Oh, it's because it feels so damn yummy through that right hip. One more cycle of breath here. And then we're going to release that right hand down, step the right foot to the outside of the right hand, tuck the back toes under. Drop the knee, step the right foot back. The arm can reach up as you do so. And then bringing that top hand down, step up. So moving from this modified Vashi into this lizard, but all the time, the breath is the maestro. And then this time, let's bring that right foot to the outside of the right hand. Lift the knee off the floor, and then keeping your hands here, step back to full plank, unless you want to lower your knees to the floor, in which case you're a modified plank. Hold this for a couple rounds of breath, driving through both heels, pushing the floor away, and then now lower the knees to the ground. We got to counterpose that left wrist. So flip your left palm. Thank you for your service. Left palm to face up, fingertips back towards you. Wiggle it out or anything that feels good, straightening and bending. And then plant the hands, tuck your toes under, hips up and back, down. Drive your heels to the floor as you lift your hips towards the ceiling. Press the index finger and thumb into the hand. And of course, you can take child's pose if this ain't your jam. We're going to walk our way to the front of the yoga mat and find a forward fold here. Toes on the same line. Shake your head no, nod your head yes, sway from side to side. Chin tucks, all of those good things. Let's ragdoll our way up towards standing, one vertebra at a time. Maybe your chin untucks last. Look up, watch your fingertips touch, and then fold right back down through center. Nice. So I'm grabbing my blocks because it's Sunday, and I like to have my blocks. I'm gonna bring my blocks right alongside my feet. My left foot's gonna stay here. Step your right foot to the back of your mat and come into a lunge. Front knee stacks on top. Feel free to keep your arms grounded or float them alongside your body or alongside your ear or whatever works for you. Full deep inhales and full exhales. Take one more cycle of breath here, and then let's drop the right knee down towards the floor. Tuck or untuck those back toes, take your arms up overhead, sink your hips and offer up your heart. So notice the difference, just the why of it all, of tucking and untucking the back toes, right? So if I've got my toes tucked here, I can kind of push in, it's a little bit maybe easier on my back knee, but I feel a little bit of compression in my low back. So that's why I generally like to untuck those toes. It's kind of just like, you know, after Thanksgiving, putting on your stretchy pants, right? Just it kind of opens up, gives you a little bit more room. And then I can send my hips down and forward without too much leverage going on back there. One more cycle of breath, so you, of course, do you. And then the exhale, hands to earth. We're gonna tuck the back toes under. Options from here, guys. Either shift your hips back, home C, or the knee will lift and you'll rock back, home sa. I'm taking this version because it's a deeper stretch through my calf. And I got some tight calves this morning. One more inhale. And one more exhale. Come back into your lunge. Drop the back knee down. We're going to go through that a few times, breath to movement. Arms sweep up. That's your inhale. Exhale, hands to earth. You can either shift back into your Ardha Hanuman or toes tuck, knee lifts, both legs straight. Pull the left toes, drive the right heel. We come forward through our lunge. Lower the back knee down. Maybe it's the same breath. Maybe it's two sides of the same breath. Just keep the breath fluid and moving from your Anjane back into wherever that left hamstring stretch is, right? And then again, just moving through your lunge, the knee drops, the arms lift. And then the hands release. Find your hips back. One more time. And then for this last one, I know I said one more time. Let's make this from our thigh stretch, our hamstring stretch, one long inhale. So inhale through your lunge, the back knee down, the arms lift up towards the sky. And then one long exhale to take it back the other way. Nice. And then from here, come through your lunge, move your prapas aside, plant your hands, step back to your plank. Come forward and lower your knees down or not as you come all the way down towards the floor. Hands right alongside your bottom ribs. Pull your heart through to find your cobra. And then what I'd like you to do is kind of just these sort of little hibachi lift off. I kind of just think I'm on some hot surface there where I'm gonna now lift my hands and my feet off the floor and then lower my hands and feet but keep my head lifted, okay? So feet and hands lift, little shalabhasana, and lower the hands, right? Lift the hands, hot, 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 and lower the hands. One more time, lift and lower. And then push the floor away, hips up and back down dog or back and down child's pose. Nice. And then we'll travel our way to the front of the yoga mat. either walking yourself forward from your dog or a couple of steps forward or one giant hop. Whatever works for you. Press into your feet, rise up and reach up or ragdoll your way up towards standing, and then fold right back down for center. If you did so on the other side, I grab knee blocks. Right foot's gonna stay here, left foot to the back of the mat. Sink into that front knee, find your lunge. Arms can stay grounded, a lot of you guys fly it. If that's you, feel the backs of your arms ignite, right? The beach is this away. Sink into that front knee, get that yummy stretch through your calf. One more cycle of breath here. And then we're gonna drop that left knee down towards the floor. Again, do you want your toes tucked or untucked? Notice the difference as the Y, right? So if you're untucking if the toes are tucked, a lot different for me at least than the dynamic of me untucking those back toes. I just try to avoid this compression along this back belt area, and that just kind of takes some of it away. But that's me. You. Arms reach up, offer it up. Breathe up that left thigh. Take one more deep inhale here. Exhale, hands to earth. And again, you can either rock back from here, even bringing your left sit bone towards your left heel, or back toes will tuck under. So either taking that Ardha Hanuman and finding it there, or lift the left knee off the ground, drive the left heel towards the floor, keep those right toes pulling back towards you. Chin tuck, that'll open up some more space. One more cycle of breath. Nice. And then we're going to move through those. So inhale through your lunge, knee drops down, arms offer up. Hands to earth. Shift your hips back, whether it's knee lifted or lowered. Your inhale or your next breath takes you through your lunge into your Anjane. Right? And then shift back. Lots of variables along the way. Knees lifted, knees lowered. Hands can stay rooted the whole time. Push the floor and lift the heart. Right? Try that one time and notice the difference if you would. I guarantee you'll find a different opening in space with your hands grounded in your Anjane, pushing in towards the floor, whether fingertips reach there or not, right? A little bit different. And then rocking yourself back. And maybe, depending on what you've been doing each time, as you send the hips back for the hamstring stretch on your right, one time take it the other way. And just go, wow, who knew? We'll take one more round. Let's find just the inhale into our Anjane. Long inhale and one long ass exhale. That's not what I meant. Right? And then take one more round if you would. Letting that breath go and rocking back. Beautiful. And then from here, hands plant, props move aside, step back to your plank. Come forward on the inhale, lower yourself down to the floor on the exhale. 6 little hibachis from here. So heart pulls through, find your cobra, keep the lift. If you want to come all the way down, you can, but we're keeping the lift, moving from here as our base, right? So hands lift, feet lift. Release the hands, the feet. If you want to release the head, you can. Lift away from the floor. Hands and feet lower. Continue to find the length. Drag your back toes up the back wall. 2 more times. You can also think of this as you go lay on, you just swam and you're laying on the coping of the swimming pool, wherever you happen to be, and you realize 6 seconds into it, damn, this is hot. Or you don't have to think of that at all and just think of what you're doing. One more round, and then we'll plant the hands, the feet, hips up and back, down dog, before backing down, child's pose. Nice, guys. Okay. Come to seated if you would. Feel free to sit up on something. So this is going to be our outer hip stretch. So if you want to make your way onto your back or thread the needle, feel free to. Otherwise, sit Sukhasana here. I'm going left shin in front of right, or even half lotus if you have that in your practice, or you want to stack your shins one on top of the other. But if you want to make your way on your back, or even pigeon, but we're running out of time and I want to respect that. Walk your hands out in front of you. Pull your toes back. Check in with your knees. Support it if you need to. So if you've got knee stuff going on, maybe it is moving on to your back. As we begin to reopen and we get our Fauci ouchies and all that good stuff, I'm reminded this is something I always do at the airport when I'm sitting in waiting for a flight or waiting for the next flight or whatever it happens to be. I'm not that person who breaks out the yoga mat and does their sun salutations at the airport. That jerk. But I am the guy who definitely does this to get this outer hip space opening. Feel free to walk your hands away from the front knee. Nice. And then coming back to center, rise up, change the cross of your shins. Or if you're on your back for thread the needle, other leg on top, right? And walk yourself out in front of you. And then bringing your hands towards the opposite knee here. One more inhale. And one more exhale. Hands back through center. Straighten your legs out in front of you. One seated forward fold. So if you were on your back, make your way up. Release yourself down. Let your face just kind of fall off. Like you're one of those androids in the $6 Million Man where they knock off the face. I think it was in that, or a fembot, or whatever you want to be. Tuck your chin in a little bit more and just see how that lights up that space. Nice, guys. And then we're going to rise back up. So here's where we go. We only have a few minutes left, if that. You can either set yourself up, we'll choose your own adventure, for a heart opener, and that's where you'll kind of finish out the class. If you have a routine of what you'd like to take, if you want to take a final twist, if you want to take happy baby, half happy babies, if there was stuff that you didn't get in here, take about a minute or so, but again, just kind of keeping an eye on the time here. And drop yourself into that. And then I'll strike the sound bowl, and at that point, that'll be your cue to take your final resting pose. Oh God, that sounds good. But your Shavasana or whatever that happens to be, okay? Did you see the Defender hearse that the Duke had? My goodness, that was a cool vehicle. Speaking of final resting poses, I thought that was one of the coolest things I had seen. That was going out with some style. Oh yeah, we're buying this thing, we're converting it into a hearse. When my day comes, I'm gonna roll through that. Look it up. It's a pretty, if you like tough vehicles, cool stuff. That was pretty neat. So find what works for you. And again, when you hear the sound of the singing bowl, that'll be your cue to kind of let it all go down towards the floor. Beautiful. Begin to bring a little bit of awareness back into your body, wiggling the fingers, the toes, the wrists, and the ankles. If it feels right, reach your arms overhead behind you and stretch from tip to tip. Get nice and long as you point your toes and drive through the field. Beautiful. In your own time, your own manner, whether you roll to one side or rock your way up, meet yourself in a seated position that feels good to you. Sitting tall once you arrive, bring your palms to touch in front of your heart. Seal in this awesome practice by dropping your chin down in toward your chest. Thank yourself for showing up on your yoga mats, your fellow yogis for sharing this connected space. And I thank you guys. You have no idea how much I thank you guys every day for being supportive, for supporting yourself, for supporting this studio, but just for being awesome people. Light and Life and me represent, what do I do? What's the light do? It recognizes and honors light and life in you. Namaste. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful rest of the day. And as always, keep the cards and letters coming. And I'll see you guys soon. Let me do this here.
Thank you, Matt.